Good morning. This is the JP Dinnell podcast, YouTube exclusive Q&A session. Hey, we are sorry we missed one last week. Did not make it a priority on my end. We had a lot of other things pop up that were a greater priority. We failed you guys. We apologize. So we're going to be in the studio today recording a handful of these so that we don't let that happen again.
Let's do it.
We appreciate your guys' support. Thank you for your patience and your understanding for us not having one of these last week. But anyways, let's jump into it. Lucas, how are you, bud?
I'm the same.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's consistency is key at this stage of my life.
I like it, man. Well, you look a little more rested. Are you kind of getting on a better
No, I've been
schedule?
taking melatonin.
Okay.
I don't know if it's helping, but I took one.
I took one.
It was like a little a melatonin gummy that somebody gave me when we first had Levi like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So it wasn't real tasty.
It's from 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's from 2 years ago. It's pretty.
I need to
It's
get
not
you,
the way a gummy should taste.
Yeah, I need to get you. I need to get you a bottle of the Jocko Fuel magnesium.
I got the magnesium.
Oh, you
I'm
did?
on- yeah,
Oh,
I'm on
yeah.
magnesium.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm not on the what's his thing? Sleep warfare.
Yeah.
Sleep
Sleep
attack.
aid.
Sleep aid. There you
Night
go.
ops, something like that. I don't
Night
know.
ops. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all this stuff has super
It's all
cool names.
Cool stuff. Whatever, Jocko. You're cool. We get it. All right. I know we have a bunch of questions.
We had so many questions.
One of the things
I'm
I
just trying
wanted-
to find my favorite ones.
No, I had one yesterday.
Oh, okay.
At an event I was doing, and it was along the lines of like, okay, hey, I recognize, because we did a balance assessment,
Okay.
and then afterwards I'm like, hey, how'd that make everybody feel? And everyone was like, crappy, that was horrible. Like, I don't like where I'm at, because they did it honestly, and they recognize where they're out of balance. And one of the guys is an older gentleman, and shout out to Build Wit and Knife River Training. It was an awesome event in the construction industry. I was up in Oregon. It was Albany, Oregon, between Portland and Eugene, Oregon.
Okay.
It was beautiful area. I mean, I was like pissed that I didn't bring Amanda, and we just stay an extra day, hang out in Oregon, drive down to Mount Shasta, and then we could have drove down to Sacramento and seen my grandmother and flown back. But girls are headed to church camp this weekend. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's just, but man, when I was there, I was like, oh, this is. And
Did you bring back any cherries?
I ate them all.
Did you? Those Washington cherries that are up there in that area they're a problem.
Okay, I fibbed to you. I did not eat them all. I didn't get any, but
They're delicious.
I agree. Those things are awesome. But one of the things that was asked to me, one of the questions that was asked to me when we were getting done doing the balance assessment was, okay, I now see that I'm out of balance, and obviously I need to fix some things. What do I do? You're like, okay, so you're telling me I need to find greater balance, which the guy was like, I agree. He's like, what do I do? And my response, it wasn't anything like crazy, but it was, you take small iterative steps. Just small little steps. So if you're in your life and you've done an assessment recently because, one, you're aware, like, hey, things in my life aren't where they want them to be, or hey, things in my life aren't as great as they could be, or you're just aware of the fact that you should be doing honest self-assessments. I mean, we talk about those often on the podcast. I know Jocko talks about them often at Echelon Front. That's one of the things we talk about. We teach often is doing honest self-assessments, evaluating yourself, evaluating your team. And it's like, okay, hey, I'm out of balance. What do I need to do? Well, okay, once you've recognized that you're out of balance, you figure out where you're at. Where do you want to be? What does winning look like? Okay, hey, what does winning look like? Boom. That's your goal. Where are you at right now? Desire and capabilities are two different things. We've talked about that many times. So where are you at doing that self-assessment? And then now that'll tell you the gap, okay? Mm-hmm. So let's just, for a basic demonstration, it's okay. Hey, I want to be able to run a 6-minute mile.
Always comes down to running.
Well, I was going to do something else, and I realized you don't like running, so I shifted right.
You
but
wanna
also
do a
I'm just
6-minute
thinking,
mile.
but I'm
Okay.
thinking like
Yeah.
Tony, right? Like
Sure.
freaking freak phenom stud, which you will learn about him this Friday.
Yeah. Yep.
I really like that episode.
Just wait.
Just wait. Okay. Anyway, so like someone like Tony's like, hey, I want to do boom. All right. Okay. You don't like running. Let's do bench. Let's say I want to bench 225 pounds
Okay, just take me to the gym.
for 10 reps.
Okay.
Okay. Boom. That's my goal. Okay. Well, that's what winning looks like. Am I capable? I need to be able to figure out, can I even go? So I go to the gym, I put 225 pounds on, and I see how many reps I can get.
Yeah.
And let's say I only get 5 reps. Okay. That's my capabilities. Like
Right.
I can't do 10 reps. Boom. There's the gap. Now I have to create a program. I have to create a training program to bridge that gap, to increase my capabilities. And it's the same thing for if you're out of balance with your communication, or you're out of balance with providing too much cover or not enough cover, or hey, you have too many things on your plate. Like you're trying to do too many things. Well, you're violating prioritize and execute, or decentralized command. You're just too hands-on because you don't trust your team. Okay, well, if you're too hands-on because you don't trust your team, how do you build a better relationship? How do you empower your people? How do you drive ownership down to them? How do you give them ownership of tasks that you know will build trust in them and their capabilities? See, these are all things that you can quickly evaluate, and then you make a small iterative decision. You make some changes. And, you know, the thing that people try to do that the mistake that I've done a lot in my life is you try to do too much at once to overcorrect. And it's similar to if you're driving a vehicle that's rear wheel drive, you come around a corner, it's a wet road, you start to fishtail. Well, if you make a massive correction the opposite direction, that's only going to make it worse. You have to make small shifts and change. So as you know, you turn into where you're rear end. So if I'm coming around a right turn and I start to slide out, and the back of my vehicle starts to slide out to the left, if I crank the wheel all the way to the right, and then when that catches, now it's going to whip all the way back to the right. And it's actually going to go farther than it was. And then I'm going to be playing, if I keep doing this game, eventually you lose control of the vehicle, and you might crash. Now, if I make a small shift, and then as that rear end is starting to come around, I catch it, and then I start making changes towards the right, knowing that I need to counter that will get me out of a fishtail much faster. Yeah. And that will help me make the corrections. It's the same thing for what you need to do in your life. Okay, hey, you want to, we've talked about this before. Hey, you want to lose some weight. Okay, well, do an evaluation. What are you eating? What's going on in your life? Eliminate sugar. That's a really good start. Stop drinking soda. Stop eating candy. That will help out. Increase your protein intake. That's going to help out. Reduce the processed foods. That's going to help out. Go for a walk. Go do a 10-minute walk after every meal. That's going to help out. Okay. Start doing some resistance training. Start lifting some weights. Start running. Start doing some sprints. Be in the pool. Get on the bike. Do some jiu-jitsu. Do some fitness kickboxing at Total Fitness Kickboxing under Josh Strasberger. You know what I mean? Like, order some little calico beef and up the, you know, like there are things that you can do that do not have to be drastic shifts and changes to get you back where you need to be. And then when you create habits and routines around these shifts and changes, that's going to allow you to be a little more disciplined, and it's going to help you make the shift and the change, because now you see the progress. Boom, you keep doing those same things. And you know, I was reading a book. I'm still reading it, rereading. It's called Profit First: Transform Your Business from a Cash-Eating Monster to a Money-Making Machine. And it's an awesome book. And rereading it, just kind of diving deeper into it. And it's funny. One of the things that says in there is these percentages are only your targets. What you will move toward. We are going to approach these targets in small steps. And that stood out to me. I highlighted it, I underlined it, I wrote it down in my notebook, because it's a validation to the things that we teach and other people teach as well. Justin, as a trainer, teaches these. You know, any business owner that's providing something to help people make shifts and changes, small steps, small iterative decisions is going to help you get where you need to be. Yeah. And so I just want to bring that up. It's a question I get often. I would say 90% of the time when I'm doing workshops with Echelon Front, it's like, okay, hey, I recognize I'm out of balance. What do I need to do next? And I always say, pick one thing that you know you can work on changing and improving that thing, and then go to the next, go to the next, go to the next. And then that's how you make the real change. That's how you make sustainable changes. That's not an overcommitment.
Yeah, that was something that Cody talked about, I think, on our first or second episode with him, which would have been, good grief, what episodes, like 2 or 3 or 3 or 4, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And he was talking about people that want to get in shape. And, if you're overweight, you want to start lifting weights and do a diet. And then the very first day, you just go heavy restriction on everything. And then it's, within a few days, it's unsustainable because of it's too many changes at once. And unless you are in an environment where other people are imposing that discipline on you, the likelihood that you're able to keep it going on yourself is very low. Unless you're in a boot camp or something like that, right?
And that's discipline imposed upon you by in an environment that you can't control.
Right. And that only works temporarily, right? That discipline imposed upon you is something that only works temporarily. I do think the idea that when we're doing the balance assessments, that we're faced with some of the ugliness of our own character and leadership style stuff is something that I think most leadership strategies are almost averse to, right? That there are so many things that tell us hey, plan to your strengths, don't worry about your weaknesses and all of those kinds of things. What's the balance between being aware of my weaknesses and trying to fix my weaknesses so much that what I actually am doing now is not playing into my strengths? Because I think that's one that when we start to make these sort of iterative decisions and changes, if I focus too much on making this one change to improve my weakness, well, now I'm no longer focused on the things that actually make me a good leader. How do we find the balance there?
Well, by making a small iterative decision, you should not be hyper focused, and meaning you're not going to be solely focused on that one shift and change, because it's just a small iterative change. Going back to the diet thing. Okay, if I'm reducing sugar, okay, all I have to do is just not eat candy, not drink sodas, and avoid that. That's all I need to focus on. That's an easy thing. I'm at the airport. Instead of grabbing a bag of Skittles, I grab a bag of beef jerky. Instead of grabbing a Mountain Dew, I get a water.
Yeah.
It's an easy shift. It's a simple decision that I have to make. I'm not, focused on all these tasks. That's the intent behind the small iterative decisions. Is you make a small decision, you move forward, you evaluate, it's still working, cool, we make another decision, and we just keep making small steps and progress moving forward. If all of a sudden you had 100 things that you need to focus on changing in regards to your communication, well then you're going to be out of balance on some of the other things. And that's something that we teach at Echelon Front, is just as awareness. Hey, be aware if you get hyper focused on just shifting all of these things in regards, because hey, you're out of balance everywhere, but you're hey, I really need to focus on being better within cover and move. If that's your main focus, then you're probably going to lose a little bit of your balance in one of the other categories. Yeah. And then when you go to shift there, then you go out of the way. So it's making those small little shifts and changes while also being mindful and aware of the other aspects of your life. It's hard. It is. It's very hard. And that's why we tell people it requires discipline, because it's something you need to be intentional about and you need to be thinking about.
Yeah, I think I see this one most often whenever it comes to the simplify principle, or the simple principle, right? Yes. Is that, if a person's having difficulty communicating, then they often are struggling with either simplification or making sure that they're being clear and concise, right? Simple, clear, concise. That's the stuff. So let's say a person is really good about being simple, clear, and concise, but they're learning the humility aspect of it, which means that now you're giving credit to other people. Well, now all of a sudden, because they've got this idea that they have to give credit to other folks, then simple, clear, and concise is lost, because now they're trying to spread the credit to everybody, and then they've lost that element of it. Likewise, a person like me who's pretty verbose or loquacious, if you will, is my word from Inglourious Bastards that I learned. When we are a little bit more talkative, we can overcorrect when it comes to simplification. And now, whenever I go to be simple, clear, and concise, because I'm overcorrecting, now I'm giving too few details instead of overdoing it. So I think that one in particular is the one that for me is is the struggle.
I think a lot of people struggle with that. I mean, from the feedback that I've gotten from workshops and just coaching and doing one-on-one coaching with people, because a lot of leaders deal with that problem. It's either they're too vague or they give too much information. A lot of leaders, even like I said, like in the one-on-one strategic coaching and advising I'll do with people, it's never like, communication is perfectly balanced.
Yeah.
It's never like that. So just something that we can be mindful of is like, okay, if I'm making changes, make small changes. Just make that part of like create a habit where I say, hey, I'm not going to overcommit to massive changes. I'm going to make small changes, make sure that they're sustainable, make sure that it's even the right change that you should be making.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is your perspective is flawed and maybe the changes that you're making don't need to be made. Because you're making those changes based off the assumptions of what you think you should be doing. That's why it's also really good for you as a leader to get the feedback from your people.
Yeah.
Have your people do a balance assessment on you. Sit down with your people and ask them. A lot of people don't initially until they get that feedback and they're like, all right, this is good. This is good. This one hurts, but okay. If that's the way that they feel, then it gives you some things that you can work on and you can shift. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. How often should we do those balance assessments?
I mean, you should do an evaluation daily of yourself, but that's just a broad evaluation. Like,
Sure.
Hey, how was the day? What was good? What was bad? Any major? It's like you're doing an internal debrief. You should do that with your spouse as well. Do it with your family.
Is that
if
part
you
of
can.
the prioritize and execute journal or planner is a daily evaluation? Because like my productivity planner that I use, it's got two little boxes at the bottom that's like ways to improve things, accomplishments today, and then ways to improve are both like little boxes down there at the bottom. Is that something that's part of that?
I feel like it is, but I can't answer that properly.
I don't have one with me.
I'm just thinking like it is because that's just what we do.
Right.
But I don't know.
It's just built into
built into kind of what we teach.
System.
I mean, you should do like a balance assessment, like the one that we do at Echelon Front. I do that about every 60 to 90 days.
Oh, so that often?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yes, because there are drastic shifts and changes in your business and your team within a 60 to 90 day window.
Yeah, see, I was thinking like, well, I guess quarterly would be 90 days, but I was thinking more like, do you once a year, twice a year? You're thinking a minimum once a quarter is when you do
minimum.
it. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll do it like there's no like set schedule for me to do it. Like if I'm at the house and I'm prepping for an event and I know that we're going to be doing a balance assessment, sometimes I'll do it before I go there, or sometimes I'll print one off. I'll print off an extra one for me. And while the client is doing it, I'll sit down and do it as well. I've seen Leif do it also at events. Like we'll both sit down and do them, and it's like, ooh, okay. Here's some things to think about.
Yeah, that's a wild thing to just kind of consider doing it that often.
I like to sit down, like to physically sit down and fill it out. But I would say probably weekly and monthly, I'm at least assessing that through interactions, text messages, phone conversations with other team members, clients. Oh, hey, I didn't follow up with the client within 48 hours like I wanted to. Why? Okay, I have too many things going on. What needs to be eliminated? Where am I out of balance? Hey, I didn't call Leif back in a timely manner like I should have because I got distracted by other things, and hey, that's a problem. Like that's a major problem. If I'm not calling Leif back in a timely manner because I legitimately got distracted from other things going on, that tells me I have too many things going on and I need to fix that. I was getting ready to head here. And the reason why I didn't get here as early as I wanted to is I was getting ready to leave, and Nola was sitting in the backyard with me, and she goes, "Hey, Dad, can you come push me in the hammock?" And I'm like, "Yes."
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? And because I had that time. I had that a little bit of extra time because I knew that if I didn't get here at the time that I wanted to get here with you to start recording, it was not going to be an issue.
Yeah.
And I also knew that the call that I had, I could take while driving. I didn't have to be in front of my computer. So I made a quick assessment of my schedule and said, absolutely. And I sat down there with her while she was in the hammock for 15 minutes. And literally, it was just her and I talking for 15 minutes, just pushing her in the hammock, telling jokes, hearing her talk to me about, church camp this coming weekend, what she's excited for, what she wants to do this summer, how she wants to go camping, how she wants to have her friends over for a camping thing in the backyard. Like it was awesome. It was just her and I for 15 minutes, man.
That's pretty cool.
And it was very, very much needed.
Yeah.
So yeah, just do that honest evaluation and assessment. So as we close it up, that's what I want you to think about is, and I challenge you, when you get done listening to this, if you can do it right now, awesome. If you can't, do it before you go to bed. Make the commitment, be disciplined, and do an honest self-assessment of yourself. Where are you in balance and where are you out of balance? You don't need the balance assessment that we have at Echelon Front. I mean, if we have access to it, that's great, but it's not rocket science. It's an evaluation of yourself. Like, am I in balance with my wife? Am I in balance with my kids? Am I in balance with my business partners? Am I in balance with my team? Am I in balance with my leadership? Am I in balance with the people that matter? The things that really matter and drive your life that make a difference. Are you in balance? Yes or no? And if you're out of balance, or if you think you might be out of balance, you are. If you're trending towards being out of balance, let's be proactive. Let's fix that right now and just do an honest assessment and say, okay, what's causing me to be out of balance? What can I do to fix this? Do it. Let us know. Drop some comments. Tell us what changes you're going to make. And when you make those changes, as things start to shift in your life and you find a little more balance, follow up with a comment. Let us know. We appreciate you guys. Lucas, any final thoughts before we close it out, brother?
Do the assessment.
Let's go. We appreciate everything. You guys have an awesome day. Go out there. Keep getting after it. We'll see you soon.